I'm 86 years old, and the reason I'm still here, sharp, moving and disease free while people half my age are on 5 medications, is not luck. It's food. Not a diet, not a protocol. Food. The kind that your great grandmother would have recognized, the kind that has been studied in labs and confirmed in hospitals, the kind that most people walk right past in the grocery store because nobody told them what it actually does inside the body. And I want to start there, inside the body, because that's where most people get this wrong. They think about food as calories, as fuel, as something you eat, and then it disappears. But food is information. Every single bite you take sends a signal to your cells, your immune system, your brain, your gut, your hormone production. Every meal is a conversation between what's on your plate and what's happening in your bloodstream. And when you understand that, everything changes. The first food that changed everything for me was garlic. Not garlic powder, not garlic supplements. Raw garlic, crushed and rested for 10 minutes before it hits any heat. That rest period is everything. When you crush garlic, an enzyme called allinase is activated, and it converts alliin into allicin. And allicin is one of the most powerful antimicrobial, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory compounds ever identified in nature. But heat destroys it almost immediately. So if you crush it, rest it, and then add it to your food, you preserve what actually works. This is not folk medicine. The Journal of Nutrition published research showing that aged garlic extract reduces cold and flu severity and duration. Studies have demonstrated its ability to lower blood pressure and reduce arterial stiffness. It kills antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And most people are cooking it wrong from the first second. But here's what most people miss. Garlic's power is not in any one compound. It's in the synergy, the sulfur compounds, the polyphenols, the fructooligosaccharides that feed beneficial gut bacteria. When you eat garlic, you're not taking a single drug. You are shifting the entire ecosystem of your body toward health. That ecosystem is the foundation of everything else. Which brings me to the second food, fermented foods, and specifically real kimchi and real sauerkraut, not the pasteurized versions in jars on store shelves, because pasteurization kills the living bacteria that are the entire point. I mean the raw, refrigerated, lacto-fermented vegetables that are still alive when they reach your gut. Because the real story here is not just probiotics. Everyone talks about probiotics. But what people don't understand is that the gut is not just a digestion organ, it is an immune organ. 70% of your immune system lives in and around your gut. The bacteria in your intestines communicate directly with your immune cells, training them, regulating inflammation, producing neurotransmitters that affect your mood and brain function. When your gut microbiome is diverse and well fed, your immune system is calibrated. When it's depleted, by processed food, by antibiotics, by sugar, your immune response becomes dysregulated. It overreacts to things it shouldn't and underreacts to things it should destroy. Fermented vegetables rebuild that diversity over time, not overnight, over months and years of consistent consumption. That is exactly the kind of long game thinking that separates people who stay healthy from people who keep getting sick. It goes even deeper than that. The gut bacteria you cultivate also determine how well you absorb every other nutrient you consume. Two people can eat the same meal and absorb entirely different amounts of vitamins and minerals based on the state of their microbiome. So fermented food is not just one tool. It is the tool that makes all your other food more effective. The third food is wild caught sardines. I eat them multiple times a week. I know people hear sardines and they make a face, but listen to what you're actually getting in a single can. Omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA at some of the highest concentrations of any food on Earth, vitamin D3, vitamin B12, calcium, selenium, and CoQ10. These are the exact nutrients that most aging adults are deficient in, and the omega-3s are not a small thing. They're the primary structural component of your cell membranes. They regulate the fluidity and flexibility of every cell in your body. They are the raw material your body uses to produce anti-inflammatory compounds called resolvins and protectants. When your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is off, and in most Americans it is catastrophically off, running as high as 20 to 1 in favor of omega-6, chronic inflammation becomes the baseline state of your body. And chronic inflammation is the root mechanism behind heart disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, arthritis, and cancer. Sardines correct that ratio faster and more consistently than almost any other food, And because they are small fish low on the food chain, they accumulate almost no mercury. They are the cleanest, most nutrient dense protein available to you, and most people will not touch them. The fourth food is turmeric, but not turmeric alone. Turmeric with black pepper and fat. This is where the science gets extraordinary. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, has anti inflammatory properties that rival ibuprofen in some studies. It inhibits NF-κB, one of the master switches of inflammatory gene expression. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and reduces amyloid plaques. It supports liver function and bile production. But here's the critical problem. Curcumin is notoriously poorly absorbed in isolation. Studies show that combining it with piperine, the compound in black pepper, increases curcumin bioavailability by up to 2,000%. 2,000. And consuming it with healthy fat further enhances absorption because curcumin is fat soluble. So a small amount of turmeric stirred into warm coconut milk with black pepper and a little honey is not just a wellness trend, it is pharmacology. It is understanding how the molecule actually moves through your body and engineering your consumption accordingly. The real power here is in the concept itself, that how you combine foods determines what you actually absorb. This is true beyond turmeric. Iron absorption is enhanced dramatically by vitamin C. Vitamin K2 activates the proteins that vitamin D3 produces. Zinc and copper compete for absorption. Your body is not a simple input-output machine. It is a complex system where timing, combination, and context determine outcomes. The fifth food is bone broth, real bone broth, slow simmered for 12 to 24 hours from grass-fed animal bones. What you're extracting in that process is collagen, gelatin, glycine, proline, hydroxyproline, glucosamine, and chondroitin. These are the structural proteins of your connective tissue, your joints, your cartilage, your gut lining, your skin, your tendons. And here is what people don't understand about aging. It is not primarily a disease of organs. It is a disease of connective tissue. The reason joints ache, the reason skin sags, the reason injuries take longer to heal, the reason the gut lining becomes more permeable with age, all of these are downstream effects of collagen degradation. Your body produces less collagen every year after your mid-20s. Bone broth is one of the most direct dietary ways to supply the raw amino acids your body needs to rebuild what it's losing. And the glycine specifically, found in extremely high concentrations in bone broth, is a calming neurotransmitter, supports liver detoxification, and improves sleep quality. Sleep is when your body repairs itself. Better sleep, driven partly by adequate glycine, means better cellular repair, better immune function, and better hormonal regulation. These systems are all connected. The sixth food is dark leafy greens, and specifically cooked leafy greens. People have been sold on raw salads as the pinnacle of healthy eating, and raw greens have value, but cooking, specifically light steaming or sautéing, breaks down the oxalates and plant cell walls, dramatically increasing the bioavailability of the calcium, magnesium, iron, and folate inside. And the fat-soluble vitamins K1, K2, and the carotenoids lutein and zeaxanthin, which protect your eyes and brain, require fat for absorption. So greens cooked briefly in olive oil with garlic with a squeeze of lemon. This is not just a recipe. This is nutrient delivery engineering. The magnesium in those greens activates over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body. It is required to produce ATP, your cellular energy currency. It is required to activate vitamin D. It is required for muscle relaxation and heart rhythm regulation. Magnesium deficiency is estimated to affect over half the population in developed countries, and it is deeply connected to anxiety, insomnia, muscle cramps, and cardiovascular disease. The seventh food is walnuts. Specifically walnuts because among walnuts they contain the highest concentration of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, specifically ALA, along with ellagic acid, a polyphenol that is converted by gut bacteria into urolithins, compounds shown to activate mitophagy, the process by which your cells clear out damaged mitochondria and replace them with new, healthy ones. This is cellular renewal at a fundamental level, and beyond that, walnuts contain melatonin, serotonin precursors, and vitamin E in its most bioactive form. A small handful of walnuts consumed in the evening provides sleep support, brain antioxidant protection, and cardiovascular benefits simultaneously. Harvard's long-running Nurses' Health Study found that regular walnut consumption was associated with a 19% lower risk of dying from any cause over the study period. The eighth food is green tea, but brewed properly, at water that is 70 to 80 degrees Celsius, not boiling. Boiling water destroys the delicate catechins, particularly EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, which is one of the most researched bioactive compounds in the human diet. EGCG inhibits the enzyme that cancer cells use to replicate. It activates AMPK, the same metabolic pathway activated by exercise and fasting. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and reduces neuroinflammation. It supports autophagy, the cellular cleanup process where your body breaks down and recycles damaged proteins. And when green tea is consumed with the vitamin C source, the catechins are stabilized and absorption increases. Again, synergy. Context. The right combination, the right preparation, the right timing. And I want to say something about consistency because this is where most people fail. They eat well for a week after a health scare and then slide back. They treat these foods as a reaction to illness rather than a foundation they maintain regardless. But the biology doesn't work that way. The gut microbiome changes over weeks and months, not days. The anti-inflammatory effects of omega-3s accumulate in your cell membranes over time and require sustained intake to maintain. The collagen rebuilding that bone broth supports is a slow, incremental process. You are not fixing yourself with a meal. You are building a biological environment where illness has less room to take hold. That is a completely different relationship with food. It is not reactive, it is architectural. You are constructing something day by day, the same way a building is constructed. No single brick is the building, but without each brick laid consistently, there is no structure that stands. And here's the through line that connects all 8 of these foods. They all reduce systemic inflammation at the cellular level. They all support the gut microbiome. They all contain compounds that activate your body's own repair and renewal mechanisms. And they are all foods that have been part of human diets for thousands of years. Your body knows how to use them. They are not foreign. They are familiar. At a biological level, your conscious mind cannot access. And there is one more layer beneath all of this that almost nobody talks about. Every one of these foods works in part by activating something called NRF2, a transcription factor that is essentially the master regulator of your body's own antioxidant and detoxification response. When NRF2 is activated, your cells produce their own glutathione, their own superoxide dismutase, their own protective enzymes. You're not just consuming antioxidants from outside. You are switching on the internal machinery that produces antioxidants from within. Garlic, turmeric, green tea, cruciferous vegetables. They all activate NRF2. This is why they are categorically different from taking a vitamin C supplement. A supplement delivers a fixed dose. NRF2 activation turns on a whole cascade that amplifies itself. The internal response is hundreds of times more powerful than anything you could swallow in a capsule. The application is simpler than people want it to be. Crush garlic, rest it, add it late. Heat fermented vegetables daily, sardines or wild fish multiple times a week. Turmeric with pepper and fat in some form every day. Bone broth or collagen-rich stocks regularly. Cooked greens with olive oil, a handful of walnuts in the evening. Green tea brewed carefully twice a day. This is not a complicated protocol. It is a commitment to treating food as the most powerful medicine available to you. Not because someone told you it was trendy, but because you understand now what these specific foods are actually doing inside your body at the level of your cells, your microbiome, your inflammation pathways, and your aging mechanisms. At 86, I don't take that lightly, and you shouldn't either.